It's time for the Douglas Coleman Show. Mr. Smooth and Savvy is joined by guests from all walks of life, from the entertainment industry to authors to political and social commentators, the famous and not so famous, the controversial and the light and fluffy. We have it all. Now, here's Douglas Coleman.
Okay, please welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show, W.L. Hawkin. Hello, W.L., or Wendy, I should say, right?
Yes, please call me Wendy.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming back on the show. Actually, we looked it up. You were on the video show. It's just about 2 years. It was December of 2021. So
oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Time is going by quickly. And now you're on the audio show. What book were you promoting 2 years ago? Do you remember?
I have a feeling it was probably book 4 of the Hollystone Mysteries series. To Kill a King, maybe.
Okay. Well, do you write one book every 2 years?
Yes. Well, no, actually one book every year, but I don't always stay with the same series. So I've written a couple of other books since then.
Oh, yeah. I see. You've got more than one series going at the same time.
Yeah. I have a series. And I have some standalone novels that are coming out soon. And then I just finished actually writing a nonfiction book about my writing process that's coming out in January.
Oh, okay.
So, always busy. Yeah, always busy with something.
So this book, To Dance with Destiny, this is the 5th book in the, which series? Oh, Hollystone. Hollystone Mysteries.
Hollystone, yeah.
Okay, you want to give us a recap of the series, just for people that maybe hadn't seen the video show that you were on?
For sure. This series started quite some time ago, and it started with To Charm a Killer, and it's based on a Wicca coven that lives in Vancouver that solve mysteries and get into a lot of trouble. They use ritual magic to solve murders and conjure the gods and all sorts of things. So it's urban fantasy, meaning there's vampires, there's witches, depending on what's going on. And I started following the main character, whose name is Estrada. And he in each book, he tends to go to a new place and solve a situation for a friends or family, and in doing so gets into a lot of trouble. So in To Charm a Killer, they inadvertently charm a serial killer, and that causes a whole lot of trouble, as you can imagine. And into Sleep with Stones, he goes to Scotland to get his friend out of jail. And in To Render a Raven, which is book 3, they get into a lot of trouble with vampires, and it ends kind of tragically. And so in book 4, they time travel back to Iron Age Ireland, which is, I think, the book we probably talked about. And so in this book, it was really interesting for me because they came back at the end of their mission in Iron Age Ireland, and they came back early. They came back like 3 months early. So he realized that he could now change history and stop the tragedy that occurred in book 3. Okay?
Yeah.
It's a lot to follow. I know.
It's all right.
And so that is his intention, he has all the foreknowledge, and he knows he's got 6 weeks before this incident is about to occur that sets everything off in book 3. And he's planning an attack, and he's planning an aggressive attack on the vampires to stop them from doing what they do. That's where this comes in, if that helps.
Okay. You mentioned Wicca. Is Wicca witches?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what that is? Or,
yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Well, yeah. Well, Wicca is the formal sort of religious name for it. So, yeah, definitely a religion that involves ceremony and ritual and things like that. But they call themselves witches. Yeah, there are a lot of people out there following Wicca and Druidry, which is a similar type of thing, but a little bit different too. So I've studied both of those ways of being in the world, I'm going to say. They're not necessarily religions, but they're spiritual ways of being.
Is this what people refer to as pagan?
Yes. Yes. Well, pagan is technically anything that is non-Christian.
Oh, all right.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I mean it can be earth, and most of them are earth-based religions.
Earth-based, as opposed to
thinking about going to heaven, being like a difference between like it's about having reverence for the earth rather than dominating the earth and being fixated on, at the end of my life, I'm going to go to heaven.
Oh, okay. So in other words, you're not focused on the next life or the afterlife as much as you would be.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because, well, that's true, because most of the major religions, that's the focus. And
well, it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
It is. But unfortunately for the earth, and I don't want to get preachy here, but because of that attitude that we can do whatever we want because we're going to leave and go to this great place, we've kind of left our earth in a big mess. And so the earth-based religions have more of a, I think, respect and reverence for trying to make some changes to make things better here now on the earth.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So where did this story come from? I mean, you're up to book 5.
Right.
But where did the original idea come from for book 1?
Well, I mean, a way, way long time ago, I decided to write a book about a young girl who gets kidnapped by a priest. And I pitched that idea, and an agent said, that's way too known. It's way too predictable. So I went home and I just kind of opened up to what could happen here, and I created this way of heaven. And that story, in fact, happens within To Charm a Killer, but it's not the whole story. So, this character Estrada, who is the high priest, and he's also a magician. He works in a Gothic nightclub in Vancouver. He just kind of appeared fully formed to me, and the coven appeared, and that's my process. I don't think things out. I just wait for things to happen. So he's kind of become my muse, and I've just followed him through all his adventures. He just kept coming back. How
many books do you think are going to be in the series? Or do you know?
I don't know. I mean, that's the whole bit. Like I just finished writing my nonfiction book about my process, and it's called Writing with Your Muse. So as long as he's one of my muses, which he is, and as long as he keeps answering when I call out to him, or he comes and taps me on the shoulder and says, hey, it's time for us to tell another story, then I just go with it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know.
You mentioned another book, something about your writing. Oh, it's here. Okay. Yeah. Writing with Your Muse, is that the one?
Yes.
Okay, tell us just a little about that.
This book came about because it's a whole story that I write about in the preface, but really it came about because I was researching another book about a young girl who has a lot of trauma, and her father dies. Her mother had died a few years before that, committed suicide at a lighthouse. And I was a lighthouse keeper for a while. I'll just kind of put that in brackets. And so I decided I wanted to write this book about this girl who goes back to the lighthouse. And from all the trauma that she experiences, her psychic powers basically get inspired, and she starts to see and hear spirits. And that's a really cool thing when you are near a lighthouse, because lighthouses aren't just romantic, but there's a lot of spirits there because there've just been so many deaths over the years connected with the area around lighthouses. So there are a lot of spirits, and lighthouse keepers will probably tell you that. And so that's where it started. I decided I needed to know something about mediumship, and I went to a year of mediumship classes, and throughout those classes, it became apparent that I needed to write this book about my writing process, and I ended up workshopping it with several people that came out of that class, and there were women that wanted to write, but they couldn't either get the ideas, or they had the ideas, but they couldn't get the words on the page, and they were looking for a way to do that. And so when I started expressing to them my process, everybody said, you need to write this book. So that's how it came about. And I've been working on it since then, which I guess that was probably 2019. And I just started putting it all together. It's all small, short chapters and techniques and strategies with guided visualization and meditation to help writers who are overthinking things and getting writer's block to actually connect with their muses and get the story out.
Okay, I think that makes sense, because I know that for me as a songwriter, sometimes the process is, not thinking, staring out the window and clearing the mind, and then stuff comes through. If you keep looking at the words and saying, oh, I need something for here, or trying to fit. I mean, with songwriting, it's a little more like a puzzle, because you've got to fit the lyrics to the music. So sometimes it doesn't always work. You've got to cut a word out or change it so that it rhythmically fits. But I know what you mean. I mean, there's that point where you just have to kind of walk away from it. And when you're not thinking about the word you're looking for, it tends to pop right back into your head. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I actually have a chapter here called Music as Muse, because I'm a musician too. And so I started it off with a quote from Bob Dylan that you might have heard, where he says, I don't know how I got to write those songs. Those early songs were almost magically written. It's a different kind of penetrating magic.
I've never heard that quote, but it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And it really fits. And, or you wake up and there's a song in your head.
Oh, I've had that happen a lot of times. Yeah.
Yeah. Or lyrics in your head, or you wake up and you just suddenly know, oh, I need to do this. So that is what it's about. And what I do is also explain the whole science behind it. So there's the science of brainwaves, So we're often walking around in what I call a beta state, and that's like we're in that busy business state, which I'm in right now. That's probably what you're in right now. And what we need to do is slow our brain waves down to alpha waves, or if you're really lucky, theta waves, which brings you into that, the zone. And when you do that, then you can pretty much do anything, I think.
Okay.
So, and you do it through meditation or visualization, or however you slow your brain so you're not having to be analytical and busy. That's how it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think on that, Wendy, we're going to have to wind this down. My guest is W.L. Hawkin. The latest book is To Dance with Destiny. Is the book out?
It's coming out for Halloween.
Okay, so a couple of weeks.
31st.
Yeah.
Yep.
31st. Okay. And last question, do you have a website you want to give out?
Oh, bluehavenpress.com.
Bluehavenpress.com. All right. Well, it was nice talking to you again, and best of luck with this book. You don't know how many are going to be in this series, yeah?
I don't know. 7's a kind of magical number, but I really can't say. I don't know.
All right.
I kind of want to go to Mexico. So he's Mexican, so that would be neat to set one there. But
there
we'll
you
see.
go. All right.
It's always a pleasure, Doug. Thank you.
Yes, likewise. All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye.